Greetings. Thought I might take a moment to, in the process of tearing out the rear suspension in my 79 Cutlass. It's old, outdated shit. So I thought it'd be a good time to replace it. So, making a few changes. One is these upper control arms here. Fucking solid bushing. Heim joint. Adjustable. Adjust your pinion angle and shit. Ain't no rubber to give and squirm and shit. So those will help. And I got these go where the shock bolts on. Then you flip the shock the other way. And allegedly it puts it at a more favorable angle. Allegedly. We'll see. Got these UMI. What these motherfuckers are, more or less. Like if you got a factory 4-link car, like all G bodies and A bodies and that kind of shit, we're all a factory 4-link in the rear end. But the thing is, the stock rear end, which I don't have a stock rear end. There's a stock rear end for something else, but it's a Grand National rear end. But even still, it's a GM rear end. And they only have one bolt hole to put your lower control arm. That's where this is. But you put this on here, you got fucking 3 holes there. You can change your instant center. I'm gonna go with the bottom bolt hole there, of course. That's the most aggressive setting. But what it does is it fucking, here's your control arm. That motherfucker bolted on there. Instead of being up here, you can go here, here, here. So you drop that fucker down, you put a higher angle on it, and if you drew an imaginary line all the way through your vehicle, parallel to this arm, and then another line from the upper control arms, and see where they intersect. That's your instant center. So you wanna, the factory fucking location for that control arm is less than, they wasn't worried about the instant center and all that shit. They were just worried about it going down the fucking road. But that's, you put some of them on there, drop that bar down in that bottom hole, and that motherfucker planted tires. Make it fucking, instead of your rear end squatting up in your fender wells, it'll separate. Your tire will go away from your fucking fender. Plant that rear end. So these are pretty much traction bars for G bodies made by UMI. So this bolts in where your control arm normally bolts in. And then that bottom hole down there is where I'm going to put mine. And you got to drill it once you get it bolted up. The shock mount goes here. Used to be your fucking shock mount. You just bolt that son of a bitch in there and then through the rear end. I'm gonna do something different there too though. But then you gotta drill a hole in your rear end where this bolt here is. You gotta mark it and drill you like a 3/8 diameter fucking hole. Put that bolt in there for extra security. Person could weld them to the rear end, but it's a fucking Grand National rear 8.5 out of a Grand National. So I ain't wanting to alter it too much. It's a valuable piece. I'm probably gonna put a bolt in 9" in this motherfucker when the big block Chevy goes in it. But with the small block over here, this 8.5 would be more than up to the task. But I ran fucking high 6s in the 1/8 with the 455 in that car. And it had just solid fucking bushings and shit in it, and that was pretty much it. And you got these control arms here. They're fucking, as they say, massive. It's a big, thick motherfucker. Fucking solid bushings. Them are aluminum with a steel insert. So there'll be no give in that shit. They're pretty fucking heavy duty. Got the big logo on the side. There we go. Aluminum bushings. Solid bushings with a steel insert. And that'll work for the lower. And any adjustment, just the pinion angle, exactly where it needs to be with these uppers. Get all that shit in there. I started taking it apart tonight. It's pretty crusty. It's been sitting 23 years. Here's the old fucking shocks I had on it. These old Gabriel Red Riders. Them are actually back in the fucking 70s and 80s. Them were pretty damn good shocks, but this particular pair here, they're about 35 years old, and they ain't worth a shit. There's another trick though. Here's what I'm gonna do. I got these fucking long shocks here. These are for a 4-wheel drive, like a 99 Blazer, 99 2000 Blazer, S10 Blazer. And they bolt in the same at the top, pretty much. And in the bottom, there's your only difference, is the bottom. These fuckers are slightly, they're probably a 1/4 inch wider than these. And these got a steel insert in them, where these old motherfuckers are just rubber. Well, there's a few inch difference there. I'd estimate at least 3 or 4 inches. But the purpose of that is when you got your shit hooking up, planting the fucking tires and shit, and the suspension separates from the car. If you got short shocks, your suspension only gonna go as far as that fucking shock will let it. So what people would do back in the day, they made these fucking shock extensions. I used them myself back in the day. You get you like a 2 or 3 inch shock extension, bolts in on top, and the shock would bolt to that. And that was kind of hokey, but it worked. With these 4-wheel drive S10 Blazer shocks here, they're already 3 or 4 inches longer, and they'll damn near pretty much bolt right on. But I'm gonna have to the fucking, this is a shock mount. It goes, bolts to the rear end, and then the shock goes on there. This is about a, I don't know, I'm gonna say a 5/8 thick. Maybe a 9/16. But that's the fucking bolt that was used with them Blazer shocks. This is probably a 1/2 inch, and this is probably a 9/16. So this fucking bolt won't fit through the hole on the fucking rear end where the shock mount goes. So I have to take a drill and ream it out a little bit. But then I'll use these bolts. I'll come in from the shock side. Like so. And then bolt it to the rear end. But the thing about that shit is, if I use them shocks, my fucking little alignment correctors there, they're a little skinny for this shock. So I might can jack them open and make this fucker fit. But then I also have to drill out the holes in this fucking thing to fit them 9/16 bolts. So I'll be getting a bigger fucking bolt, so that's more heavy duty. I think these fucking shocks are made by Bill Stein. They're expensive fucking shocks. Until the expensive shocks, the cheap ones have just rubber bushing. The expensive ones got that fucking steel insert. The good shit, in other words. But yeah, that'll save me from running the shock extensions. Not to mention these motherfuckers here. Push that son of a bitch down, and there it is. This shock is officially fucked. It will not spring back. It'll stay there till I pull it out. So they're fucked. This bad boy. It come right out like a fucking horny motherfucker in a porno theater. Straight erection. So that's a pretty good trick. Cheap, simple trick for these G bodies. Swap out some S10 4x4 Blazer shocks in place of the stockers and get you some more travel. Plant them meats. There's the meats. There it is.